Welcome to Health Styles, where we believe that everything you eat, drink, and think directly affects your health. I'm your host, Carol Dean. Just how powerful is your mind? Can you use your mind to overcome major difficulties? Well, our guest today, Dr. Ron Roth, says that you can. He lectures to people all over the world on this and other subjects, so please stay tuned. Our health tips today are about the China study on diet and health, and they have information on protein that you don't want to miss, plus what we can do to reduce cancer and heart disease. Dr. Deepak Chopra has his new perspective section with excerpts from his book, Ageless Body, Timeless Mind, and Dr. Murray Susser has his questioning medicine section on diet and the immune system. And now let's start with our health tips. Our source is the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. The most ambitious project ever conducted is by Dr. Colin Campbell and his Beijing colleagues. They looked in detail at the natural laboratory that China provides, because in rural China, the overall average fat intake is only about 14.5%, and the fiber intake ranges from 7 to 77 grams a day. Now, the United States average is 20 grams a day, and our protein intake is about two-thirds of what it is, or theirs is about two-thirds of what it is here in the United States. And the kind of protein that is consumed is very different. Only 10% of the total protein intake is from animal sources, whereas in the United States, it's 70%. Now, this study is looking at a group of diseases, not just cancer or heart disease. And the hypothesis they're testing is that a diet enriched in a variety of good quality plant foods prevents a variety of chronic diseases. And the richer the diet is in these plant foods, the lower the disease risk. Well, Dr. Campbell emphasizes the importance of reducing protein. He says that protein reduction on blood cholesterol is more significant than the effect of reducing saturated fat. Now, that is really news. He says that it is an impressive ability by giving up more of your protein to reduce your cholesterol than to reduce your fat. That is something we've never heard before that I can remember. He said many Americans are switching from beef to skinless chicken breasts and other animal-based foods simply to reduce their intake of fat. Well, Dr. Campbell says that this does not make sense. It may reduce the fat intake a bit, but even leaner cuts of meat or poultry still contain around 20 to 40% total calories of fat. And it would be better if you simply reduce your fat intake down by reducing your protein intake, because too many people are eating more protein. In conclusion, Dr. Campbell says that he suggests that animal protein is more problematic in this whole diet-disease relationship than is total fat. Now, that is news, and I don't think we'll be hearing that from the beef and the dairy industry. So now let's go to Dr. Murray Susser, and we'll be right back with our guest today, Ron Roth, and we'll learn how to celebrate life.
So the immune system is a whole system in the body consisting of white cells and globulins, which are made into antibodies, and other proteins like interferons and complements and interleukins, and all this complexity of substances go together to create a system which fights against any kind of disturbance in the body's health. Immunity means freedom. In the original Greek, it meant freedom from taxation. Freedom from taxation would be wonderful. I think freedom from disease is even more wonderful. So the immune system is your body's defense against imprisonment from disease. The immune system then is it's almost like saying your health, your body. The immune system is your health. The importance of strengthening the immune system is like the importance of being healthy, the importance of strengthening your life. If you don't have a strong immune system, you don't have the ability to fight off invaders. You don't have the ability to fight off viruses and bacteria and all these monsters that are on us all the time. We talk about the wonders of the discoveries of Louis Pasteur. He discovered pasteurization, but he also developed the germ theory of disease, the idea that there is a specific germ for a specific disease. who was ignored in history was his contemporary and his rival, Anton Béchamp. Béchamp was a great scientist who said it's the soil, not the seed. In a sense, Béchamp, even in those days, was saying you have to have a strong immune system. If you don't have a strong immune system, then you're going to be invaded and you're going to have disease.
Ron Roth is a spiritual healer from Illinois who served in the Catholic priesthood for over 25 years. And now he works full-time in the area of teaching, spirituality, and healing work. We're very happy to have you on the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
This is his information on the healing power of authentic self-love, and that's what we're going to talk about today. How important it is to love yourself in order to heal yourself, right?
Yes, when you started the program and you gave the health facts, I was thinking in my mind, you know, we all need to be healthy in our body, but the fact is that we can take all of that information and apply it to our lives, but if we don't love ourselves in the process, we're still going to be out of balance.
Because, and this is what we want to go on today, is how, our goal is to learn how powerful our mind is.
Right.
And how to use it to heal our lives. So do you find in working with people that sometimes that their lack of self-love prevents them from achieving things in their life?
I think so often, whether it is in a public gathering like a seminar or workshop, or even on a personal level where they might come to my office, I think the whole thing is that so many times I can pick up in an individual how should I put it, the disharmony between what they consciously want or believe they want and what they subconsciously want or believe they want. In other words, they may come for healing, but down deep, they might be getting more attention now from their spouse, their children, their loved ones than they've ever gotten in their life. So as a result, they may not really, on a subconscious level, want to be healed.
So
you know, because after all, they don't want to let this go. They're getting very comfortable with
they've
this.
got the total focus. Remember in Resurrection, that's one of my favorite movies, where she said this child does not want to be healed, and
That's
she walked
correct.
away. And you do find this.
Oh yes, you can pick that up. In the work that I do, first of all, I believe that all healing is spiritual in the sense of God's energy, God's love, God's light, His love specifically, is what heals. It's what creates, it's what's healed, it is what revives, it is what renews, it's what makes us whole.
And this energy is part of all of us. In other words,
Right.
we can have as much of this in us as we want, right? But how do we open our hearts to get it? Because most of us are so busy these days just trying to make a living and make ends meet.
Well, let me answer that this way, Carol. I think in the Western worldview, the whole concept of life is based on, okay, I want to have this, and so in order to have this, I will do this, and then I will be somebody. So in other words, our concept is really to have, to do, to be. But in the spiritual realm, or in the Eastern worldview, or what is really the correct worldview, it's I am, and out of my I amness, the doing flows, and that I have what I'm supposed to have in life. And I think the most important thing is a lot of people don't have that awareness that they are somebody in God's eyes, and therefore it is all right to look at themselves as being somebody. If you don't love yourself, it's very difficult to love other people. And I think that's the real problem with relationships. It's the real problem with health and with wholeness.
So how do people identify whether they love themselves or not? Because most of us, I mean, would say, yes, of course I love myself. But how do we know?
I think, you know, although the question, I think, begs for an answer in some ways, we all know it. We all know that if we're feeling, say, separated from the rest of creation or from loved ones or even separated within ourselves, we have a sense of alienation or loneliness. We're really not loving ourselves. We're not being true to ourselves. I think the hardest thing for people, especially people who have any type of religious background, is to really come to a point to say it's okay. In fact, it's absolutely necessary for my health to learn to love myself. One of the great...
So forgiving, excuse me, but forgiving is a key factor.
Oh yeah, that's the other side of the coin.
Because coming from the Southern Baptist Church, I mean, that was the biggest problem that you had to deal with, was if you made a mistake or you did something wrong, that you had to be able to be forgiven. But you see, I think the Catholics were a lot more lenient in saying, we forgive you.
No, not really. The Baptists are the other side of the coin of the Catholics, in the sense of, and we're not putting down any of these people. We're simply saying there has been such a stress on the doctrinal aspect that we have forgotten the image, the personality, the attributes of this unconditional lover that we call God. To me, because Christianity works for me, or maybe I should put it this way, because Christianity somehow is kind of lost the life and the heart also. The Christ-centered nature, to me, is pure, perfect love. And when I look at Jesus, I see the Father as represented in this very forgiving, unconditional lover. I think of the lady at the well, married 5 times, you know, and now living with this man that she's not married to. But Jesus doesn't judge her. He doesn't condemn her. He loves her because what he's attempting to show her is the necessity of loving yourself. And undoubtedly, the way I read that scripture, I see a person who doesn't love herself. Mm-hmm. And that, to me, the greatest healing in that passage from the Christian scriptures is the fact that Jesus totally accepted her where she was. And that, to me, is what love is all about.
So it's learning to accept yourself for who you are.
Yes.
And continuously, daily, I guess daily, you really have to tell yourself that you love yourself and that you're proud of yourself. Because we do put ourselves down. There's so much is expected of us these days, don't you think?
I think, you know, you had asked the question before about how do you really know if you love yourself. I think one of the, I probably shouldn't say this, but one of the practical examples I used for myself was to look in the mirror, because I heard someone else say this, look in the mirror at the individual you see in the mirror and honestly from your heart say, I love you. Most of us, including myself, we're not able to do that. Mm-hmm. Because I mean, it sounds almost blasphemous, you know, because of our training in that, you know, it's wrong to love yourself. Yet the greatest commandment says, love the Lord your God, love yourself, love others, because you love the other as you love yourself. I've got a lot of my information from a middle-age mystic by the name of St. Bonaventure, who was a contemporary of St. Francis. And he talked about this whole idea of loving God, but being open to God's love, taking it like a healing balm, applying it to your life so that you could love others. And see, that to me is the proper focus. All right, I must get my relationship with God straightened out. In other words, I don't teach new things. I help people unlearn old things.
That is important. All right.
Yes, you have to.
Because now there's some interesting books out now, like Stuart Weil is talking about the fact that we're all connected through the universal mind. Wouldn't you? I mean, this is just another word for God, don't you think?
Or
Ron?
Universal spirit.
Universal spirit,
you know,
yes.
Yes. But what is this universal mind? What is this universal spirit? The scriptures refer to God as light. God is love. That he is. The light has no darkness in it. Perfect love has no darkness or no judgmentalism in it, no condemnation. And I think when on a human level, when we've had some very rough times and have done some very terrible things, and we finally think that here's a person who will understand, and we share that with them, and their eyes, their eyes light up with, yeah, I still love you. I care for you. I'm not going to judge you. When we have that type of relationship and understanding that, boy, this is what it's all about, everything changes in our life. We begin to sense this fulfillment. That's the way we have to picture God. We have to unlearn this silliness, because that's what it is, this unhealthy picture of God where he's ready there to punish you, kick you into this fiery, burnery place or whatever it is. He's there to love you.
Yes, he is. So it's a non-judgmental non-judgmental concept that we have to realize.
And that's the energy. That's where the energy lies. When you're sitting with someone and you tell that person, I've done this and I'm real ashamed of it or whatever, I need to get this off my chest, and that person still accepts you because they've gone through the work themselves. And a lot of the clergy, of which I was a member for 25 years, a lot of psychiatrists in that, we haven't done our own work on ourselves. And so we can sit in judgment. Mm-hmm. What makes it rough and hard is when, as clergymen, we sit in judgment and then give that as the portrayal of what God is doing.
Oh, that is very important information. We're going to take a quick break, but we want to come back because we really want to know how to take this information and use it every day in our lives to improve our lives. But let's go to Dr. Deepak Chopra. This is our new Perspective section, and we're interviewing Dr. Deepak Chopra, author of Ageless Body, Timeless Mind. Now, Dr. Chopra, at Health Styles, we believe that everything you eat, drink, and think directly affects your health. So we'd like to know how powerful you think the mind is in affecting our health.
The mind is all powerful. You know, people have the idea that aging is influenced by genetic programming, and yet if you look at the data, you'll find that if your parents live to be over the age of 80, that adds only about 3 years to your life. But how you eat, how you think, how you behave, and most importantly, how you perceive yourself in the world that you live in can influence the quality of your life and the quantity of your life for about 30 to 50 years.
By 30 years, just
Yes.
how you, all of these things together. Well, tell us, how can you change how you think about yourself, how other
The
people
main
see
thing
you?
is to dismantle beliefs about the aging process that are based on a superstition, and I call it the superstition of materialism. Our beliefs about the aging process are not based on scientific fact. For example, mostly everyone believes that aging is fatal. But if you look at the scientific data, you'll find that nobody ever dies of old age. They die of diseases that accompany old age, and these are all preventable. Almost everyone believes that aging is irreversible, that it's a one-way street. Well, there are 12 biological markers of aging, including things like bone density, blood pressure, basal metabolic rate, blood sugar concentration, the level of sex steroids, hearing thresholds, vision, fat content in the body, aerobic capacity, cholesterol, HDL ratios.
Oh dear.
All these biological markers of aging, without exception, are reversible. And
Oh, we can reverse them?
all of them, and not by a little bit, but by many years. There's a Tufts University study that I talk about in the book that took people between the ages of 87 and 96. And after certain interventions, these people, some of them could outperform physically 60 and 50-year-olds.
Fantastic. Well, there you have it. New perspectives. Thank you, Dr. Chopra. Our guest today is Ron Roth, and the subject is the power of love and how to use it to improve your life. And at the moment, we're talking about the universal mind, our spirit, and how powerful that is. And the book I was reading by Stuart Wall is saying that we all can pull from this universal mind. It has great ideas and information that is available to all of us, as well as this power of love. What do you think, Ron?
I believe that is what God is. God is not a figure. Well, let's put it this way. The scriptures say that God made man in his image. Then somewhere along the line we return the favor. We made God in our image, and that's where the problem lies. We have to begin. We have to begin to understand.
We gave him judgment and anger and all these things.
Because that was our feeling. That,
Sure.
you know, and I believe that the whole concept here of understanding God as Father, Mother, the masculine, the feminine, you know, and being able to see that God contains the personality of God, the attributes of God are the best of the masculine and the best of the feminine. But like in the Western worldview approach, anything that's based in Semitic religions, whether it's Judaism or Christianity, the concept seems to be it's all masculine. And because of that, we've run into a lot of difficulty in understanding the tenderness side of love, the compassionate side of love, the merciful side, because basically as men, that's supposed to be the feminine. That's supposed to be the women, the woman's personality. But yet we've got to recall that the ancient religions basically saw God as Father, Mother.
It was one. It was the
Right.
unity, yes.
And you know, to me then, when we talk about universal mind, universal spirit, God, whatever, you know, term we give it, we have to be sure that what we're seeing is the best of the masculine, the best of a father, and the best of the feminine, the best of a mother.
That is one of the best descriptions I've ever heard. Now, what about the difference between religion and spirituality? Because in these days, most people are looking at, they are becoming more spiritual. They're
Right.
working in that direction. So what do you consider as the difference here?
Well, let me start out with this example. We take the palm of our hand here and maybe put the basic, although I don't have 2 extra fingers, but if we took these 7 basic religions, Judaism, Christianity, Hinduism, Islam, all of these, and basically looked at the tips of the fingers and thumb as this is religion, with each of their own doctrinal beliefs, etc., we're constantly going to be warring against each other because you don't believe what I believe. This is my version of God. It has to be your version. However, in each of the religions, there is still the mystical aspect which some people have kept, which is the spiritual aspect, in which the fingers are no longer concerned about the tips. They're concerned about the center of the palm, right here, which is love, the essence. When each of these people in these religions go to the essence of their being, the nature of their being, which is love, then the walls come crumbling down.
Between the religions.
That's correct. So religion is going back to the be, do, have. The religion is the things we do in order to get heaven or get saved or whatnot, hoping that this is the way it is. However, spirituality is no concern about the doing. It's concerned, who am I? Who am I as made in God's image? What are the attributes of God? They must be found in me. Once I recognize that in my time of prayer, communion, meditation, oneness with God, then the doing, my acts of love towards you, no matter what color you are, what religious beliefs you have, flows out of the essence of my nature, my spiritual beingness, which is love. That's the difference. In most religions today, we've lost the heart, which is love, because we're so concerned about doing all these things correctly.
Yes. Well, let's take love, and how do you take it into your daily life? In other words, let's say that you have problems with finances, or you've got difficulty at work with your employer. I mean, how do you handle all of this stress in today's life and still keep love in your heart?
Well, I can only, again, speak from my own experience and what I share with other individuals. I don't share with anyone what I have not attempted to practice first in my own life. To me, the key issues here is meditation, prayer, communion with God, and then going about your life and allowing it to just flow. To start each day, for example, with meditation. Now, I'm not talking about fringe benefit meditations, the fact that we can look younger and all of these things, which are fringe benefits. I'm talking about the spiritual concept of meditation, where our focus is on the personality and attributes of God. And whether we spend 15 minutes of being in union with God as light, God as love, and allowing the Spirit to form pictures or feelings or sensations or experiences of God's loving presence, that's the most important thing, whatever is comfortable for you.
So some people just meditate by just closing their eyes and being very quiet.
That's how I do it. But I might have developed, with my meditation, I've been involved with it for many years, over 15 years. And so 2-3 hours is no big thing with me. But when I talk to people, I always say, start with 10 minutes, 15 minutes of making that connection. Then get in your car and go to work. And, and just allow.
But, that allows the Spirit to come in you.
That's correct.
If we're talking about a universal mind, a spirit,
right.
then if you open yourself through that quiet time, you will bring that into your heart.
Yeah, see, I don't believe so much that the mind of God is in us. I believe, along with Dr. Larry Dawsey, that we are in the mind of God. And we have to learn to open up to that mind of God so that the universal wisdom will flow into us.
But it is totally available to us.
To everyone. It doesn't matter whether you're classified as holy, unholy, or whatnot. It's that there's these blocks. To me, spiritual healing is learning to remove the blocks that keep us from being whole.
All right, now, that's a very important statement, because when you are ill, you are out of balance. And wouldn't you say that if you were meditating and close to God, you would be in balance?
You will be in balance, but yet there's a mystery. And I think, again, in Dr. Dawsey, I keep bringing him up because his book on healing words has been the closest to my experiences of the last 25 years, that the whole thing of even spiritual healing is a mystery. I've seen people who have been remarkably healed who possibly didn't even believe that was going to be a probability for them. Others who come from very staunch religious backgrounds seemingly got nothing. But yet,
amazing.
But on some level, they are being touched, but they're not aware of it if they don't learn to let go. And see, this is what research is showing, what I've seen for 20-some years in this work, is the person who doesn't struggle to get healed usually gets it. And if they don't get a physical healing, they will at least get an emotional or spiritual healing that helps them transcend the physical difficulty as if they don't have it.
How amazing. That's amazing, isn't it?
It is. It really is. I think of one case, because a lot of times I do not consider myself a healer, a faith healer. My job is basically to show people that love is possible for them and that love can heal. And yet I've seen people that I've never touched or prayed with, but part of a big workshop, who were healed of cancer, who were healed of multiple sclerosis, and that got out of their chairs and walked, not because of a great hoopla or music or symphonies playing or that, just simply by my saying, now just receive God's love. Because reception is the most difficult thing for us humans, is to believe that we can receive this, because we connect receiving with, but am I worthy?
And what do I have to give back?
That's
and all
right.
this, right? And we block it. We block
Right.
it. You're absolutely right. So when we do this little quiet meditation, this 10-minute meditation, then we have to say to the effect that I'm opening to receive God's love.
Absolutely. And then throughout the day, you know, as the Spirit of God, because this will happen, you'll become aware of it, moves you, you can take 10, 15, 20, 1-minute meditation breaks just to remind yourself, I'm loved by God.
Mm-hmm.
I'm loved by God. All's well.
It's fabulous, fabulous. Well, we're going to have another show with Ron next week, so we've got more information coming on love and the power of the mind, and actually his real teachings are on celebrating life, and we want to hear more of this, so we'll look forward to the next show. Thank you very much. So,